It has been 74 days since the fire broke out at the 30 Tughlaq Crescent Road on the Tughlaq Road in the national capital, the official bungalow of the then Delhi High Court Judge Justice Yashwant Varma. It took almost a week for the first details of the incident to emerge and another few days for the actual pictures to come to light. Now, while the fires were doused, almost immediately is what emerged from the ruins that shook the country's conscience. Pictures of piles and piles of cash that lay burnt and half-burnt. As the government mulls impeachment of Justice Varma, with the process likely to start as early as in the upcoming monsoon session, Times Now has unraveled the truth. The truth that has been established after a 33-day-long investigation carried by 3-judge panel constituted by the Supreme Court. Now, after examining 55 witnesses, the truth has been chronicled in black and white in a 64-page report. This report that has been accessed by Times Now is currently with the President of India, submitted by the CJI. Let's break down the details of this report. What did the 3-member inquiry committee actually sought to investigate? The 3 key questions that Justice Varma was asked were, first, explain the presence of cash. Second, explain the source of cash. And third, explain the removal of cash. Now, let's take a look as far as the contentions that have been made, where Justice Varma said no cash or currency was found at the site. But this has been firmly refuted by recording made by both the fire and the police officials who were present on the spot. Another claim was that nothing was removed from the storeroom. According to the probe report, however, evidence suggests that debris and burned articles were indeed removed. Also, Justice Varma has denied that his staff or family saw any cash, but the panel refused to trust the version of the domestic staff and the family, citing that there was long-time association with Justice Varma, saying that they are unlikely to contradict him. Now, talking of the family, Justice Varma's daughter Dia has said that the cash video could have been from any other location. However, a forensic probe has verified the authenticity of the video, the location and the time. Everything has now been established on paper. Now, the most damning part of the probe report, the video that actually was shot by one of the first responders on the intervening night of the 14th and 15th of March, shows that Justice Varma's staff was present at the fire site where half-burned cash was found. Watch this before we break down the significance of this video.
महात्मा गांधी मांग लग रही भाई 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 महात्मा गांधी मांग लग रही भाई
Now, the man who is calling for Rahil is R.S. Karki, Justice Varma's private secretary, while Mohammad Rahil is Justice Varma's domestic staff. In their examination, R.S. Karki has admitted that it is his voice, and Mohammad Rahil also initially conceded that he was the one being called. However, he later changed his statement. What this establishes now is that Justice Varma's staff was very much present at the spot, debunking Justice Varma's claim that his staff had no knowledge of any burnt cash. Let's get in a word from Sabyasachi and Bhavtosh, both joining us live right now. Bhavtosh, what does it mean as far as when it comes to the panel report is concerned? Of course, the next possible step that the government seems to be mulling is the impeachment of Justice Varma.
Good morning, Mita. As far as this inquiry report is concerned, the inquiry report makes it very clear that the cash that has been found at the residence of Justice Varma belongs to him. The quantity or the quantifiable amount has not been mentioned, but it establishes one thing, that the fire that broke out at his residence in the outhouse led to burning of cash, and the unburnt cash was in fact removed, and the burnt cash belongs to him, that no one had access to this place except Justice Varma's staff and Justice Varma's family. It in fact gives the entire sequence of event. It mentions that Rahil was present at the spot, Karki was also present at the spot. Now, Justice Varma in his explanation had said that he was not present at his residence, that he was outside, he was in Bhopal, but it mentions one thing, that he was in direct conversation with his staff. Remember, Justice Verma first recorded his statement before the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court, and then subsequently also gave a written explanation to the Chief Justice of India. He refused to resign, and this in fact led to the then Chief Justice of India, Justice Khanna, to submit a report to the Prime Minister of India as well as to the President of India. What we have now learned is that government is mulling over starting impeachment against him, and this might start as in a monsoon session itself. But what is most damning is the fact that the inquiry committee headed by Chief Justice of Himachal Pradesh is the fact that it has forensically established, as well as through call detail records, that the cash, both unburnt as well as burnt cash, belongs to Justice Varma. Though Justice Varma, both before this inquiry committee as well as before the Chief Justice of India, continues to deny this.
All right. And however, when it comes to what could be the possible next step, let's talk about the panel that had concluded that the cash was actually found at Justice Varma's storeroom, and that the access to the storeroom was in active control of the judge and the family, and the burnt cash was indeed removed from the site of fire. Now, the committee has also recommended the initiation of proceedings for the removal of Justice Varma. After this report was submitted to the CJI on the 3rd of May, he wrote to Justice Varma that the next day, giving him the option to either resign or to take voluntary retirement. However, 2 days later, Justice Verma responded, calling the findings as perverse and the probe as unfair. But does Justice Verma have any evidence to back his arguments? It doesn't look like it. He has contended that the storeroom is under the CCTV scrutiny, but hasn't produced any footage to corroborate claims that his money was planted and an outsider could have been possibly involved. Let's get in a word from Sabyasachi as well. Sabyasachi, as far as impeachment of a judge is concerned, there is a whole lot of parliamentary process and procedure that needs to be followed. Now, what we are learning also through sources, that the government is reaching out to the opposition parties as well if there is an impeachment motion that is taken up in the upcoming monsoon session.
Well, that's right. See, first of all, we are reporting from Yashwant Varma's place here in the national capital, that is 30 Tughlaq Crescent Road. This is a residence from where the burnt cash was found. Now, the impeachment process is a very rare process, and it is going to happen for the first time. It has never happened before. Now, as per the impeachment process, 2/3 majority is needed. Now, 50 members from the Rajya Sabha and 100 members from the Lok Sabha has to vote for the impeachment process. Now, as per the sources, the central government will reach out to the opposition so that there is clear majority as far as the impeachment process is concerned. Now, after the voting has taken place, both the Rajya Sabha chairman as well as the Lok Sabha speaker will write to the Chief Justice of India. After that, he will constitute a panel which will comprise of a Supreme Court judge, the Chief Justice of Delhi, as well as one member that will be nominated from the Parliament. So after that, the impeachment process will take place, but it's a rare process and it will happen in the country for the first time, and never this sort of action has taken place against any justice or judges in the country. See, the entire country is shaken after the revelation has come into light, because lot of faith are being associated to the judges and justice. They are seeing that they would be unbiased, but clearly after the revelation has come into light, there has been a massive controversy that has sparked, and in fact the opposition also has demanded that there should be certain reforms that needs to be made in the future that would create accountability to this kind of incident.
Absolutely. So if this process is followed, it's going to be one of those rare incidents that have been witnessed. But let's talk about exactly what could be the possible implications. Group Editor-in-Chief Navika Kumar, who broke the big exclusive last evening on Times Now, spoke to Supreme Court advocates author Anand Ranganathan as well. And here's an excerpt from that exclusive conversation.
According to a Supreme Court judgment itself, an FIR can only be filed after the Chief Justice of India or the Supreme Court gives. It's not for the filing of the FIR. So that should have come from the Chief Justice of India at that time. It hasn't come. In fact, after the report came out and he wrote this letter, even in that there is no suggestion of registering an FIR. So who is supposed to do that, Nalin Kohli? Was the police supposed to do it? Was the fire official supposed to do it? Was the Chief Justice of India or the committee supposed to do it? Who is supposed to do it? Who is going to find out where this money came from? And the figures are mind-boggling. In one place in this report, it is said that the sacks and the money in it was 1.5 feet high. Do you realize how much cash that is? 1.5 feet height cash bundles were there in the room. 1.5 feet. And I'll just recall the page number and the paragraph number where this is mentioned. Nalin Kohli, who's supposed to find this out? We are almost watching a tennis match going from one side to the other, whether it will be the judiciary, whether it will be the government, whether it will be the executive. What's going on?
So, Navika, permit me a few minutes. Your angst, or anyone on this panel, or even the viewers, or even members of the judiciary, their angst in terms of what is to be the outcome given the nature of the visuals and the committee report is justifiable. Now the issue that follows this will be the process that has to flow. So let's look at the 3 or 4 issues involved. The first is, there is a protection of office that's not just for judges, but it's for governors, ministers. There's protection for what happens within the within Parliament, within the state legislature. So these protections are from the very constitution that we are cherishing, and from where we get our rights, and even the right for us to freely speak out here and express our angst. They can't be dispensed with. They'll have to follow that due process. Number 2 is the question that 3 judges, 2 High Court Chief Justices and a senior judge of Karnataka High Court, they were the committee and an inquiry committee. We need to pause that this inquiry committee is not like, say, a departmental inquiry or a preliminary investigation. It's more like a fact-finding to give a sort of a report to the Chief Justice of India for him to exercise that what is the next step. Now, he then does the due thing of sending it to the government. In this period, if the Supreme Court, assuming from what the flow of question is, decides to take some action, is that not, in a sense, departing from the established process where the government has to be informed and the judiciary is waiting, and the 2 of them will see the next steps that follow? Now, the registration of the FIR is the smallest part, according to me, because at some point that is going to become the logical thing that will happen. The removal from office.
Do you have the permission for it? After this report and the statement of the former Chief Justice, there is no word that is mentioned about registering an FIR. Can you register an FIR without the Chief Justice recommending it? According to me, from whatever little of law that I understand, there is a Supreme Court judgment which does not allow you to do that. In which case, what happens, Sanjay Hegde? And I want to tell you the shocking part. Witness number 20, who has deposed in front of the 3-judge committee, Umesh Malik, SHO of the police station of Tughlaq Road, said in his deposition on the 27th of March, he said that there is a stack of half-burnt currency lying on the floor was about 1.5 feet in height. The stack of half-burnt currency note on the ledge on the right side was also of 1.5 feet high. The witness also informed that the currency notes were on the floor from the door of the storehouse to the opposite wall at the other end. 1.5 feet high, that's the amount of cash. Some people say it's 400 crore, some say it's 84 crore, some say it's 500 crore. We don't know, because it was cleaned up the next morning.
So yes, what could have been done? I agree with Sanjay Ghosh that if you took the judge at his word and said, yes, somebody is trying to frame you, let us launch a criminal inquiry into that. For that kind of FIR, you did not need the Chief Justice's permission. To file an FIR against where Justice Varma is an accused, you need Chief Justice's permission. There could have been innovative ways of handling the problem. Oh. But the longer that this drags out, The longer that this it comes out in the press and then you have your parliamentary inquiry and all that, it does the system no good whatsoever. It also emboldens those who probably want to bring the judiciary down a peg or two, dilute its independence. This may very well be the precursor to a relook at the NJAC and several other steps. This is what I see coming.
So let me ask you, if something like this was done by the legislature, would the judiciary not have happily taken that call? And if we can't say anything about the judiciary for fear of contempt, Anand Ranganathan, pray please tell me, can I also get a conspiracy against me, an FIR to that effect against the judiciary, should they assume that this is contempt of court? Bhai, mera bhi kara do.
Navika, please give me a minute to explain because both Sanjay's, one, I suppose, Bengali, have made excellent points. And I take the point of innovative routes to filing an FIR, be that as it may. Yes, indeed, you file one FIR and like a dendrimer, it goes into, spreads its tentacles and then the investigation spreads. But I don't want to talk about whether an FIR was filed or not. It should have been. I don't want to talk about whether there is a conflict of interest. Of course there is. I want to talk about, as a common man, please bear with me 30 seconds, about common sense being going haywire and absent from what the judges have done. Let me explain. Let us say a judge says, I have a rare genetic disorder of single nucleotide polymorphism for which the government must pay 800 crores for my treatment. Now this is very common. The government pays for a government servant's treatment. But the judges have to investigate that. Whether the judge really has a single nucleotide polymorphism. Are the judges going to ask a scientist to find out the genome sequence, or are the judges going to do it themselves? That's the question. In this country, are the Supreme Court judges eligible or qualified to do forensic investigation? They are not. So why on earth was a forensic investigative team not tasked with the course of finding out what is the truth? That is the problem I have.
Because the devil is in the details and the details are lost over time, and that is the hope and the prayer probably the judiciary carries. I'm not attributing any motives, but I'm saying as time passes, there will be a lot of evidence that will be lost. Because the Committee of Judges on its own has not looked at many of the things which will be required probably to do the forensic analysis. They've answered only 3 questions. Was there cash? Yes, there was. Was there cash kept in the room without the knowledge of Justice Varma and his family? Certainly not. And number 3, the question of who removed the cash. Well, the committee feels it was removed by people within the House, the staff, the 16 people within the House who removed this and could not have removed this without the knowledge of the judge. Even the role of the daughter of the judge who was present at home has been spoken about by this report of the committee that I've taken notes of.